محمد اللهم صل وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Dear mu'minin and mu'minat, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمصابنا بالزهراء فاطمة عليها السلام. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our efforts as we commemorate the martyrdom anniversary of Lady Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha. The last discussion on that topic of modesty that we're having tonight, inshallah, just to recoup on what we discussed so far, and then we'll have tonight's discussion. The first aspect of modesty that we discussed is regarding the way we appear, modesty in the dress code, which is, as I said, a mandatory part of our humanity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran that He has brought down to us the clothing that covers our errors or our private parts. Humanity at large agrees that some level of modesty is to be observed. There is no doubt about that. Nudity is considered an irrational, rebellious act. Although some try to promote some levels of nudity in certain environments or cultures, however, any rational human being knows that some level of modesty is to be observed. Now, what level is what we discussed, if you recall, 2 weeks ago when we had the discussion on modesty, and we said that Islam prescribes the best, the complete level of modesty, a level of modesty that does not accept any kind of immodesty or wrong way of expressing and exposing oneself that could lead to indecency in a society, could lead to any kind of illegitimate thoughts or relationships which in reality corrupts the society. Then we discussed the modesty in terms of lifestyle and expenses, and how Ahlul Bayt salamullah alayhim, despite their ability to live a luxurious life, despite the ability, due to the fact that they had the sources, but because of the amount they gave they lived the modest life that they lived. And that is what makes it significant. It is perhaps easier for someone who does not have to live modestly, but someone who has to decide for themselves that they want to live modestly, and instead of living luxuriously, they want to give to the community, to the society, to humanity. That is the real modesty. And we discussed that through the life of Lady Fatima Salamullah alayha. Tonight I want to discuss one other level of modesty, which is in reality the core of modesty, which starts from deep within. And that is the level of modesty that is called in Arabic ubudiyya. To feel deep within yourself that you're nothing but a slave to the Creator, to the Almighty God. That level of modesty is what reflects itself in the way you dress, in the way you live, you spend, or you share. All different aspects of life are a reflection of that level of modesty which is deep within, which is the act of ubudiyya lillah, to be a slave of the Creator. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Isra, when He speaks of His messenger, and we remember the event of Isra and Mi'raj as one of the greatest gifts and blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon His messenger, the final messenger, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Many are aware that it was at a very difficult time. It was during the years that he lost his beloved uncle Abu Talib radwanullah ta'ala alayh. He lost his beloved wife Khadija salamullah alayha, the ones who supported him and helped him and protected him with all they had, and they sacrificed their comfort and their life for the sake of his mission and his risala. In those years of difficulty that they were in the valley of Abi Talib, Sha'b Abi Talib, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to the narrations, took His messenger from the neighborhood, being neighboring of Mecca, to the Masjid al-Aqsa, what we know today as Al-Quds, or the masjid that is near the Masjid al-Sakhra. In any case, that and then the Mi'raj, the Uruj that occurred. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows His favors upon His messenger, yet He calls him in that surah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Subhana alladhi asra bi'abdihi laylan min al-Masjid al-Haram ila al-Masjid al-Aqsa alladhi barakna hawla. Glory belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who brought, or who made His servant, His slave, travel in the night from Masjid al-Haram to Masjid al-Aqsa. His slave. In every salat, we sit in the end and we say, part of our salat is the shahada, tashahhud. And we say, وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. I bear witness, after I bear witness that there is no God but the one God, then I say, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the slave of Allah and the messenger and the apostle of God. That maqam, it's not something that one should be ashamed of. Rather, it is a pride for the slave to be a slave. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, Ilahi, O God, O Lord, kafa biya izzan or fakhran. It is enough pride for me that I am a slave to you. An akuna laka abda. That I am a slave to you. To be a slave is a pride, because a slave of who? Being the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being the slave of God, means being free in this world. And that's why we have in the hadith that God has created you free. Why would you enslave yourself? Free in this world, a slave only to Him. That makes you the real free person. Talking about the maqam al-ubudiyya, I want us to understand it through the words of the Ma'sumin. A man comes to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He's known as Unwan al-Basri. From Basra, he comes to the Imam and he says, I came to seek knowledge. I want knowledge from you. The Imam says to him, knowledge is not seeked, it is not earned through abundance of studying. And we're speaking of the real knowledge, not some information that you pile up, yet does not help you reach the truth and the haqq. The real knowledge is not earned through reading books. It is earned, or it is given, it is granted through a light from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the Almighty God. He says, إِنَّمَا الْعِلْمُ نُورٌ لَيْسَ الْعِلْمُ بِكَثْرَةِ التَّعَلُّمِ. It's not about reading multiple books and accumulating information. He says instead, knowledge is a light that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shines in the hearts of those whom He wishes. إِنَّمَا الْعِلْمُ نُورٌ يَقْذِفُهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى قَلْبِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. It is the light. Then he says, if you want to reach haqiqatul ilm, the reality of knowledge, not just information, you want the reality of ilm, then you need to seek the reality of slavery, of ubudiyya, of being a slave. If you want to be if you want to reach that knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you want Him to give you that knowledge, because He's the one that grants it, He is the one that shines that light into your heart. You see, many people go to the universities and go to the Islamic seminaries, to the Hawza. But not everybody becomes the Einsteins, or not everybody becomes the Maraja, Allama al-Tabatabai, or Allama al-Qadi, or not everybody becomes that. So what is the difference? Believe it or not, it is not the amount of hours that they put in studying, though that is important and significant. But that's not the only condition. In fact, it's not the main condition. The main condition is whether or not they are seeking the haqq and the haqiqah, the truth and the reality. And if they are seeking it in the right way, through the right means, with sincerity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it to them. And that is through haqiqatul ubudiyyah. He says, if you want to reach the real knowledge, you need to reach the real ubudiyyah. When we speak of Lady Fatima salamullah alayha, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, many people may wonder, she only lived under 20 years, or based on some narrations, maximum of 22 or so years. Most narrations, 18 years is what she lived. Such a short life. How could she have so much knowledge? One may wonder, how? How could she be a teacher to the elderly and all the ladies that would come and ask her questions, or their husbands would send them to ask her questions? Where does she have all the knowledge? Her daughter Zainab salamullah alayha is described by the Imam of his time, Imam Zain al-Abidin salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. He says, my auntie Zainab is a knowledgeable scholar, alimatun ghayra muallama. She is not being taught. She's a scholar, but she has not been taught. You come back to her mother Fatima salamullah alayha. The same thing applies. Why? Because they had haqiqatul ubudiyyah. As a child, they understood, from their childhood, they understood what it is to be the abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shone the light of knowledge in their hearts. They don't need to go to school to learn. They got the knowledge because of haqiqat al-ubudiyyah. Before I continue on the haqiqah of ubudiyyah of Lady Fatima, I want us to reflect on the haqiqah of ubudiyyah as described through the words of Imam As-Sadiq salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the man asked him, he says, فَمَا حَقِيقَةُ الْعُبُودِيَّةِ? Now you're telling me if I want knowledge, I have to reach haqiqatul ubudiyyah, the real slavery to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being a real slave to the Creator. What is that? Describe it to me. So the Imam describes it in 3 parts, and I want us to reflect on them. He says, number 1, ألا يرى العبد لنفسه فيما خوله الله ملكا لأن العبيد يرون المال مال الله يضعونه حيث أمرهم الله به. The first one is that the abd, the slave, does not see himself having any ownership of anything. No ownership. Why? He says because a real slave knows that mal, the money, belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ownership belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says very clearly, أَلَمْ تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ لَهُ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ? Do you not know that the ownership, the kingdom of whatever is in the heavens and in the earth belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It all belongs to Him. A real abd realizes that, recognizes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him something and given him the right to use some of what belongs to him. It all belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The beautiful term here is خَوَّلَهُ. He says, لأن العبيد يرون المال مال الله يضعونه حيث أمرهم الله به. They know that it belongs to Him, therefore they put the money where He orders them to put it. One of the most difficult parts in living in this world and being a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the body. Because the body is made of matter, and the body is attached to matter. The body attaches to the world of matter. And in the world of matter, the body has certain things that it believes that they belong to me. As we grow up, we teach our children that we need to be more sharing. And we say sharing is caring. We teach that to our children. How much do we put that into practice? What we say to them, they have a toy and they're playing with it. And we say to them when another child is there and does not have that toy and is looking at them with what we call hasra, some hard feelings in their heart that they wish they could have that. We see that and we say to the son, to the child, my son, my daughter, share. And when they go and share, how much pleasure do you gain? If your son or daughter, without you telling them, they see someone who is suffering and struggling and they don't have, and your son or daughter walks and gets something that belongs to them and give it to this person, how much pleasure do you feel? You think about it. Let us think about ourselves. Do we apply that? Do we apply the same concept? Do we share or do we hoard? Do we start accumulating wealth? Why? Because we fear poverty. Now I'm responsible. We justify it. Now I have a family to take care of. I'm responsible. Because who is feeding you? Who is taking care of you? Who has given you the wealth? And he's the one who's saying to you, give it. يَضَعُونَهُ حَيْثُ أَمَرَهُمُ اللَّهُ بِهِ. They put it, a real slave gives it. That's the first level that the Imam describes of ubudiyah. Unless we detach from that, we cannot reach haqiqatul ubudiyah. In other words, we cannot reach haqiqatul ilm. And that is why in the hadith we are told, if you see the alim living a life of luxury and attached to this dunya, don't listen to him. This is very scary. You'll find that none of our great scholars, our great researchers, maraja, muhaqqiqeen, mufassirin, look at their lifestyle. There are a lot of rumors out there, oh, they collect the khums and they have this and they have that. Go and look at their lifestyle. Go and visit them. They still live in rent. Most of them, they still live in rent. They don't own the house that they live in. Everything that is under their control because of their status does not belong to them. And they're still living the humble lifestyle that they've lived since they were humble students in the Hawza, in the Islamic seminary. And until one passes that, they have not reached haqiqatul ubudiyah. The next one. وَلَا يُدَبِّرُ الْعَبْدُ لِنَفْسِهِ تَدْبِيرًا. He says that if you want to reach haqiqatul ubudiyah, you should not have your planning for yourself. Instead, what? This is a tough one and I have to explain it. Instead, the servant has to realize that the real mudabbir, the real planner, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That I have to come back one step. We go back to the haqiqatul ubudiyah regarding money. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it to you. How do you spend it? A real abd spends it in the way God has ordered him. So he gives whatever is wajib out of his wealth. He gives also he gives his khums and zakat, the wajib parts. Then he gives the sadaqat, the charity, the optional ones. He helps his family members. He helps his neighbors. All of these people have a right. They have a right. He knows of some needy, he helps. He makes the life of his family easy and comfortable, not luxury, not competing with the peers to have unnecessary or what this society dictates as a necessity, none of that, but trying to achieve a good living, comfortable living for his family, all of this, because this is what God has ordered him. He does exactly as he is ordered, he or she. Coming to the second one, how do I not plan? How do I live a life without planning? That is not what it is referring to. One has to plan for their future. Most importantly, to plan for their real future, not the temporary future. When you go for business interviews or job interviews, one of the questions that typically they ask you is, where do you see yourself in a year from here? Or in 5 years from here? Or in 10 years from here? These are some of the more advanced questions that they put there for a reason. They want to assess you and see how well you have planned for your life. And also see if what you have planned for your future fits the role that they are asking or they're trying to fill. My question is, as people who believe in Akhirah, do we not realize that this life is only the short, temporary abode, and we will depart it and we will go into the long life? So if I am to plan for anything, which one should I plan for? Should I plan for this world, or should I put my efforts in planning for the next world? What do you think? What should one plan for? What should one be concerned with? Which one, if I have to choose? Now you might say we can combine. We can plan for this and plan for that. How many of us do that? If I have to choose, which one? So when I am looking for job opportunities, am I looking at the one that pays more, or am I looking for the one that gives me the halal sustenance and gets me closer and in a better status in my hereafter? Which one? Am I looking for something that serves humanity better? Believe it or not, again and again I say it, we have labels. We call ourselves Muslim, and we point at other people and we call them non-Muslim. And Islam is nothing but submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala simply, it describes itself in ihsan. One of the most famous ahadith puts together the three concepts: Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. And you'll find many of those who we point at them when we call them non-Muslim, you'll find many of them are more of a human being than you and I put together. Many of them, they leave their careers and the best jobs that they have to go and serve humanity in the most dangerous places on earth. I know some of these people. Where are we doing that? Or are we just concerned? This is something to reflect on. If we are concerned with our akhirah, what happens to dunya then? What happens to dunya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes care of it. Your duty is to simply care for the matters of others, because that is serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is serving the Creator. I cannot do anything for the Creator. He doesn't need slaves to serve Him. The famous poem from Mawlavi, very famous, when he describes the story of Musa and the shepherd, Musa wa Shaban. He says, the shepherd was saying, "Oh God, where are you so I can comb your hair and fix your bed, perhaps even massage your body?" And if you're sick, I become your nurse. گر تو را بیماری آید به پیش، من تو را غمخوار باشم همچو خویش. I start caring for you as I would care for myself. Speaking to the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't want to get into this story, but we all know that this is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needs from us. He is ghani. He is needless. So what does He want from you? He wants us to serve other humans. And that is what Ahlul Bayt Salamullah alayhim did. That is what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did and sacrificed his life. He worked hard. He worked for his wife, then he worked with his wife. And they had the wealth, then the message is given to him. Then him and his wife give everything they have for you and I to be better humans. For humanity. For insaniyah, for the real Islam. They did that. And then he sacrifices not just his wealth, but his health and well-being and comfort, everything. And then when he comes home, Fatimah Zahra Salamullah alayha becomes the nurse. And she gains the title of Ummu Abiha. Nursing her father, cleaning his wounds, taking care of him after he comes from all the prosecution and the hardship that he was facing by the ummah. Yet he was doing it because he was a slave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the real slavery. And therefore the matters of this dunya does not matter to him. What matters to him is to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How far can we go with that is what determines our humanity and our ubudiyyah. And how far can we go with that is what determines the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us. The more you can sacrifice, the more you will gain. This is how it works. Fatimah Zahra Salamullah alayha gives it. Learns from her father and gives it. Gets described in the Holy Quran with the giving everyone without discrimination. Miskinan wa yatiman wa asira. No discrimination, we give you for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As human beings, as followers of Ahlul Bayt, as Muslims, if you hear of some act of terrorism that they may not call terrorism because they have their agenda, that happens here in Miami and innocent souls are taken, we should stand up and say no to it and try and empathize with the families that lost their loved ones. And as Muslims, we should try and raise our voice and our concern with the laws that allow such atrocities to occur again and again. In today's world, we should say enough is enough. Even though it's not my child, it could be, and they are like my children. That's how we should look at them. We could have lost our teenage children, and it's not easy. And they lost their children. Let us have that empathy that Ahlul Bayt Salamullah alayhim. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not say, Ya Allah, these people are they're polytheists, they're idolaters, they're idol worshippers. Let them bury their daughters. Is that the attitude of Rasulullah? Or did he cry? Did he not cry when he was told of them burying their own daughters alive? Did he not take lashes while stopping them from burying their daughters alive? You see the love, the humanity that reflected itself in his children? لا يرى العبد تدبيرا. The next level is لا يدبر العبد لنفسه تدبيرا. And then the last one, the Imam says, if you want to reach عبودية, وجملة اشتغاله فيما أمره الله تعالى به وَنَهَاهُ عَنْهُ. All what matters to him, all what preoccupies his mind. If you have such a status, you will not have boredom. You know, people who have what we call disposable income, and they retire early with, you know, making enough wealth. Out of a sudden, many of them, they go bored. And then next thing, they go depressed. And next thing, some of them commit suicide. Why? Because they have no faith. If they have faith, they would not be in a position where they don't have anything to do. Why? Because وَجُمْلَةُ اشْتِغَالِهِ, all what matters to them, all what occupies their mind is to do what God has ordered them and stay away from what He has forbid them. Keep doing that and you'll be busy. Because there's so much to do for humanity. There's so much to do for people around you. Even if you have fulfilled your duty as a husband, as a father, you have done it all, you're good, you have achieved, you have your lifestyle, there's so much to do around you in this world. And that's what determines, or that's what distinguishes those who have those concerns and they come out of their comfort zone and they help their fellow brothers and sisters. And I'll make a quick note here. When we have community events and we have a center to run and we have so much to do for the community and we have so many aspirations and so many things that we would love to achieve, but we cannot achieve them. Why? Because we have lack of human resources. Why? Let us think about that. وَجُمْلَةُ اشْتِغَالِهِ, all what occupies his mind is to do what God has ordered them and stay away from what God has forbid them. If this is the serving of the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what stops us? If we reach that level of ubudiyyah, my money does not belong to me, my time does not belong to me, my free time, tadbir does not belong to me, all of this belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll take care of the matters that He has ordered me, and He will take care of my matters. And this is what it is in the ahadith. And this is what Ahlul Bayt salawatullah salamu alayhim did. And this is why Fatimatu Zahra salamullah alayha becomes the lady that she becomes, not because she is trying to impress the world, not because she's trying to gain herself a name or fame. When Salman Radwanullah Ta'ala asked her, he says, "O daughter of Rasulullah, you are the daughter of Rasulullah. You are higher than the daughters of the kings of the world. Yet you are dressed so modestly." And I shared this hadith. She said to him, "Because the thrones and those ornamented clothes that are ornamented with gold are made for us in paradise." In other words, I want the qurb ilallah, the nearness to my Creator. I want to be His servant. I want to be the slave. And a slave does not worry about what they're dressed and how they appear. A slave worries about pleasing their master. I want to please my master. She does all that, yet the ummah does not appreciate. And the ummah pays for it. The ummah is suffering until today because they did not appreciate their messenger or his family, his daughter. And she told them and she warned them. She told the ladies when they came to visit her, she said to them that they have took the rights of my husband Amirul Mu'mineen. They deviated from haqq. She did not utter it, but perhaps what she was saying to them as well is that they harmed the daughter of their prophet. They harmed me, though I was praying for them and serving them and helping them, caring for them. Though Amirul Mu'mineen would not eat anything beyond what he's eating, even if he is the leader because he wants to serve them and help them be the better humans that they can be. We all did that, and had they allowed him, they would have all been prosperous, and as a result of deviating, they would all pay. And they paid. Soon after that, in that same Medina, the people were attacked by other so-called Muslims. The army of Yazid attacks Medina. Other armies attack Medina. They enslave the people of Medina. They rape the ladies in Medina. Of Rasulullah, yes, they did. Go and read the history. They attack Mecca. It became the target of the catapults. And they destroy the Kaaba. This is what they had to pay because they did not appreciate. And continuously, they are paying because they did not appreciate the family of Rasulullah. What did she do to them? What did this young daughter of Rasulullah, the only memory of Rasulullah, do to them for them to treat her the way they treated her? That they could not bear, even though she told them that my father told me I will be the first to follow him. This is narrated by Aisha. She says that when the Prophet whispered to Fatima, she cried, and then he whispered to her, she smiled. After his demise, I asked her, Ya Fatima, what did he whisper to you? She said, the first time he told me that he is departing soon. And so I was in tears, I was crying. The second time he told me that I would be the first one to join him and depart this world. I'll be the first one from his family to depart and join him soon after him. And that's what brought joy and happiness, because I wanted to reunite with my father, Rasulullah. They knew that she would not live long in this world, yet they could not bear her tears even for Rasulullah. Next thing, they usurp her rights and take her land. The land that she was feeding the Muslims, the poor and needy and the captive through her land, they take that land from her. Above all that, to her, they usurp the right of Khilafah, and they deviate from Rasulullah. Seeing what she saw, she is in the pain that she is and crying constantly. But my question again and again is, how much hardship did she have to take from them that she had to depart young, and she did not want any of them? A martyr would be martyred and Muslims would walk. The Rasulullah departs and all Medina becomes one funeral for Rasulullah. His only daughter departs. Nobody even knows. Why? Because that is what she wanted. Why? They don't know where she is buried. Why? Because she wanted to be buried at night without them participating, so that the world knows what she had to suffer. And what she suffered and what her family and children suffered is what reflected in Karbala. First, crying, or the difficult crying and tears of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and Zainab salamullah alayha is at the site of departing or farewelling their mother as they come and embrace her. Amirul Mu'mineen, he says to them, come and embrace your mother and farewell her, because this is the last farewell and their meeting would be in paradise. They come and embrace their mother. They are in tears. Ummah, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he says to her, oh mother, answer me. Oh mother, answer me before I depart this world. I cannot bear calling you and you're not answering me. Imam Hussein alayhi salam is hugging her and calling her. The children are in tears. The malaika, they come and say, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Ali, take the children away from their mother. The sight of the children crying, is not bearable by the angels of heaven. How heartless this ummah. They are farewelling their mother. Next thing, at the cemetery, at the grave of Fatima, Amir al-Mu'mineen calls upon Rasulullah. He says, Ya Rasulullah, the trust has been returned. In other words, you trusted me with your daughter Fatima, and I am returning your trust. I say, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, your wife was given to you in her best state. How did you have to hand her back to her father? What state did she go back to her father? How patient you had to be to see that and say that, Ya Ali. That is why he says, لكل اجتماع من خليلين فرقة وكل الذي دون الفراق قليل. He says every lover and beloved, one day they would have to depart one another. Everything that is less than that is easy. And then he says, وَذَا فِرَاقِ فَاطِمَةً بَعْدَ أَحْمَدٍ. This departure of Rasulullah and then his daughter Fatima is a proof that no love is lasting in this world. دليل على ألا يدوم خليله. Tonight I want to take you to the land of Karbala. Travel with your hearts to the land of Karbala on the day of Ashura. Another farewelling is taking place, another wida. This time the mother is not there, but the sister Zainab is there. She has to farewell Imam Hussein. She says to him, oh brother, oh Hussein, before you go to the battlefield, let me fulfill the promise I promised our mother Fatima. He comes to her, she says, let me kiss your neck. She kisses her neck and she says, this is the wish of our mother Fatima, knowing that the enemy, the cursed enemy, would put their dagger on that neck of yours, Ya Hussein. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم إلهي بمحمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين. إلهي بالتسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين. إلهي بإمام زماننا يا الله. عجل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان. اجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه يا الله. اللهم أحي بنا دينك وسنة نبيك يا الله. اللهم شاف مرضانا ارحم موتانا. عجل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان. إلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات الشهداء والصالحين رحم الله من قرأ السورة المباركة الفاتحة تحفها صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا ممتحنة، امتحنك الذي خلقك فوجدك لما امتحنك صابرا. أنا لك مصدق 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 مصدق